What's up, guys? It's QahirTheConqueror here. Welcome back to my channel for yet again another video. In this video, I will share with you the importance of boundaries and how they will elevate and amplify your life and help you protect your peace. For starters, what is a boundary? Have you ever heard the term boundary? Have you ever heard therapists talk about this, psychiatrists talk about this, people talking about relationship parameters, people talking about friendship and familial parameters? You've probably heard the term at least once or twice, or maybe even used the term once or twice. But what is a boundary? What am I talking about here? A boundary, as defined, is essentially a limit, a certain parameter set for something that should not be exceeded. When you start to mature and get older and you have experiences in life, which we all will because that is a part of the human spectrum, you should realize, and this can even happen young, that boundaries are essential to your peace, to your sanity, to your serenity. You get the point. Well, how can they be so essential? What's so important about boundaries and things like that? When you're young, we have limitations set already, and we typically are not afraid to share those. Let's think about little children playing with their toys. Let's say they're having a play date. Johnny has his Power Rangers, Christina has her Barbie dolls, Timothy has his trucks. If Christina is trying to take his truck away and he's playing with that, hey, whoa, that's a boundary. I'm playing with my truck. You cannot take my truck while I'm playing with it. You get the point. We have that power. We have that ability in us young. But I've noticed as we get older and we kind of become more in tune with other people's emotions and feelings and things like that, for some reason we reverse in that way. Like, we allow more than we should. The focal point of this point is we enable much more than we're usually comfortable with. And to be honest, I really don't know why I've done it. Maybe for the sake of pleasing others, and maybe for the sake of not being labeled as a party pooper or whatever other phrase or term you can think of. But I just really don't understand, and we don't understand. We just do it. But like I said, as we're young, when we're young, we're not afraid to set those boundaries with parents, friends, strangers, anybody. In most cases, and that's a rough example. To talk about my experiences, we allow ourselves to engage, or we enable certain behaviors, actions, etc., when we're not really even cool with that. See, boundaries can transcend friendships, relationships, social environments, professional environments, etc. They go with everything in terms of the aspects of life. But to go back to the point of why boundaries can help amplify your life and they can help you protect your peace. See, when you enable behaviors and patterns and actions that oppose your morality, your values, your viewpoints, who are you hurting? Who are you harming? You're harming yourself. Quick example, sports team. The coach is making the players do suicides or running or something that's intensive cardio. Not because he hates them, because you have to be in a certain condition to be able to participate in a sport and be able to contribute without succumbing to adversity that comes with, using your wind. But if the coach turns his back and he's on his phone or in a conversation and you cheat, you don't touch the line, or you slow down and you jog, or you take a quick breath of water, okay, you got away with that, but who are you hurting? You're hurting yourself. So in the example of when we allow our boundaries to be stepped over when we don't have boundaries, when we don't set forth boundaries with people. You're only hurting yourself because, number one, if that aggravates you or frustrates you in any way because of what they, the other person, entity, whatever, does, and we didn't have anything in place or we didn't enforce that, who's going to be resentful? Who's going to be angry? Who's going to be frustrated? Who's going to be annoyed and bothered by that? You, me, not that person, not them. They might not even care or even be aware and cognizant of the fact that what they did, do, or repetitively do, etc., they don't even know it bothers you. But they're important to have in general because boundaries are good. Now, some people, yes, can have extremities and can be extreme, crazy people with their boundaries, and I'm not going to encourage you to be some toxic, macho person and narcissist because for the sake of the argument of I love myself and things like that. But I talked about loving yourself in another video, so go watch that. But you really can't even say you truly love yourself if you don't have boundaries and if you're not willing to enforce them. And I want to break it to you. Sometimes when we have to enforce boundaries, when we have to stand firm on our moralities and our values and things like that, that isn't always a comfortable process. Sometimes you might have to tell a friend no, and that can curb a relationship. A bridge can be burned because you stood up for yourself. You might lose somebody that you thought you loved and you were never going to be apart from because you respect yourself too much to deal with certain behaviors and actions. You might not have a relationship with family members anymore or friends, etc., because you chose to prioritize yourself, your mental health, your well-being, and other people might not have respected that enough. If you loved yourself and if we loved ourselves, we would not be afraid to set boundaries. And starting that process usually grows out of discomfort. See, like I mentioned again, I do feel a sense of shame with some of the things I allowed and enabled in the past, but the beauty of life is that I have, if it be God's will, tomorrow and those days to look forward to. And I can start doing better right now today. See, because I have began to learn how to love myself, how to prioritize myself, how to choose myself, it is easier with time to be able to set boundaries because people, if we allow, companies, corporations, whatever it is, they will and can, not even intentionally, walk all over us. And we have to be firm with ourselves and with others in order to combat that. It's not a bad thing that people might want to get the most value out of you. You have to be willing to make sure that for the sake of pleasing others, you don't lose yourself because, as I spoke on in the beginning, if you didn't set certain boundaries or you didn't have limitations and rules that apply to you, and people overstep some of those areas, you're only going to grow resentful inwardly, or it'll show externally, and that might not be pleasant either. Boundaries will also help you find the people, the places, the environments, the situations that are meant for you. Because if you had to set a boundary with somebody that you thought you were close to, maybe somebody that you thought you loved or thought loved you, thought was a friend or etc., whatever that situation is, and they were combative with something that is important to you, something that is a priority to you, that's not somebody that is meant to be in your life, or that's not somebody that you should have highly in your life, you should maybe reevaluate that relationship, because nobody is perfect. But if you respect yourself enough to want to not be associated with certain behaviors and things like that, and there are people who claim that they love you, are fond of you, and like you, and enjoy your company and your presence, and they would disrespect you by not doing what is needed and necessary for your mental health well-being, you should want to be surrounded by the people, or you should want to be in the situations and environments that is meant for you. You don't belong in a situation where people would willingly overstep boundaries and have no remorse for that. You can find yourself when you begin to choose yourself, and boundaries help you do that. When you start to set boundaries, when you start to enforce them, the uncomfortable truth is, as I had mentioned before, it comes with sacrifices. You might lose people that you didn't think you would lose, or you might lose people you didn't want to lose. They might even lose themselves or you. You might outgrow certain situations that were once beautiful for you. You were very fond of them. You might outgrow people. You might outgrow certain beliefs, but that is a part of the human spectrum as well. Boundaries help us love ourselves, respect ourselves, and without them, you are essentially just a piece of carpet. They can step and walk all over you and treat you any kind of way that they want to. And if you're somebody who gets offended when people have boundaries, even if they don't make sense to you, you should reevaluate whenever you feel offense, because if somebody has a rule or a limitation or an exception placed, usually it's because they probably had learned from that situation going south, whether they observed it firsthand or whether they maybe witnessed it from somebody else. Quick example that we can all relate to. If somebody had dealt with partners who maybe have been unfaithful to them in the past and things like that, and eventually after the hurt and the pain subsides, there are certain patterns and behaviors that we can associate with certain kinds of activity. And as I mentioned, if their partners were unfaithful and you want to be their partner, and they are not comfortable with you doing certain things, you should want them to, number one, share that with you when that comes up. Number two, you should be willing to be able to do that, because imagine the love or the level of genuineness from somebody's heart if they would be willing to follow your guidance in terms of interacting with them in their life. If they'd be willing to make that sacrifice and not do certain things that they know would offend you, that is love. To sum this video up, boundaries are important because they can help us find ourselves. They can help you love yourself the way you need to be loved, and find those who will be willing to show up for us in the ways we need to be loved. Boundaries are important because we should have certain rules and limitations for those that interact with us in our lives, because there are people, situations, environments, jobs, etc., that can take from our peace. They can just cause havoc and chaos, and you should not want to be just used up or to just be run amok because you did not enforce those rules, limitations, and boundaries. I hope this video helped in any way. If you haven't, or if you are noticing that maybe there are some aspects of my life that I'm not pleased with, and I enable and I allow certain behaviors, you don't have to. Take your time, Be patient with yourself, be patient with other people, but you, remember, at the end of the day, are responsible for your and our own happiness. We cannot expect other people in other situations to always contribute to that. If you're in control of your life, you're in control of who gets to be a part of your life. You're in control of where you get to spend the most time in your life. Boundaries can help you amplify that life. Boundaries can help you protect your peace, maintain your peace, find yourself, find your soul tribe, find the person that is meant to love you properly. If this video helped in any way, please give me a like, comment, and/or subscribe. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you for the next video.